The Right to Information Bill remains in Parliament 14 years after it was introduced to the House, despite several promises and pledges by the two main political parties to have it passed. As Parliament reconvened earlier this week, Majority Leader Osei Mensah-Bonsu indicated the MPs would not be pressured to speedily pass the bill into law. His comments follow the prevention of members of Media Coalition on Right to Information from entering the House to essentially pressure the MPs. Adansi Asokwa MP KT Hammond gave the clearest indication the MPs are not committed to passing the bill. Mr. KT Hammond is warning governance in the country will grind to a halt if Parliament passes the Right to Information Bill into law. Parliament is considering the bill for passage into law. Now, here's Mr. KT Hammond telling JoyNews passing the RTI will not be in the interest of the country.
It's a gold mine for journalists. He says it. It is not a gold mine for the generality of the populace. The general, it's just the same way you are going about it. I can understand. You need it because gold nuggets are in there everywhere for journalists. That's what you need. One single slip, ministers can't operate. Governments cannot proceed effectively. Governance cannot take place meaningfully with this sort of, I don't call it sword of whatever hanging at this albatross riding around you. Understand, you need a peace of mind to run a government. You need to concentrate to run them. If you have a bill like, bring this, before the ink even dries on it, somebody's asking for it, bring this document. This or that. How you, to the extent that we're talking about communication between president and the vice president, the cabinet and this and that, potentially you can have, so there will be no secret in government.
It's a free society where information is readily available, rather enhanced development.
Nobody disputes that. No, relevant information. You see, it isn't everything that the public is interested in, which is in the public interest. We should be careful about that. Yes, free society and all that. That is a journalist jargon. Free society, freedom, whatever. Sit on the seat of an administrator, and then you'll be looking over your shoulders what the next journalist is going to call for. Before 2000, the average call or request for information in the British government, I think, was about 170 or whatever. The first 3 years after 2005, when it came into effect, the first 3 years, the information requests had gone to 300,000.
All right, that's the countdown clock. Yes, Alaji, yes, there's pressure on you. So should we resign ourselves to the fate that the bill will never be passed? Joining me in studio for a discussion meets Member of Parliament for Tamale Central, who is also ranking member, Constitutional Legal Affairs Committee of Parliament, Alaji Inusa Fuseni. He's in the studio. Also in studio, Elvis Dakon and Clement Akoto. They are members of the Media Coalition on RTI. Good morning to you, gentlemen.
Good morning.
Good morning.
May I give you the opportunity to react to the clock, Alaji?
Yes, when I saw the clock, it was something really happening. It means that you are really marking us and watching every step that we take. But like I told you, you need to reset the clock to probably 7 o'clock, because all of us must be working to ensure that the business of the House is extended beyond the normal sitting hours.
Effectively, you're saying that the November 15 dates...
The November 15 days is still possible, but at 2 o'clock it's not possible.
Oh no, there's not 2 o'clock, that's the second day. Today is 2nd November.
Today is 2nd November.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, today is 2nd November.
Okay.
So we are counting down all the way to 15th
I thought that.
No, the clock is date. It's not time.
Oh, it's possible. On the second day.
Yeah, today is the second day, 2nd November.
But the 15th day is possible.
Yes. It's possible. Okay, let's begin with the comments by the Member of Parliament for Asokwa. I think that's what got all of us, even though the bill is at the consideration stage, we thought, wait a minute, if one Member of Parliament is speaking this way, then this may not pass after all. Clements.
Yeah, actually, the Member of Parliament for Asokwa, when he made that comment, okay, he's been known for, or he has actually declared himself an opposition to the passage of the RTI bill. That we know. But he's only one person. But there may be more among the members of parliament who are also not comfortable with the members, with the passage of the RTI bill. But we are looking, and for me, for instance, I report from parliament. So we are trying as much as possible to get members one-on-one to declare either their support for the RTI bill or against the RTI bill, so that we can document this properly, so that posterity will come and judge all of us. So we will know that this member of parliament is not for the bill. And why are you not for the bill? If you are not for the bill, then it means that you are hiding something from the public. And we all know that this bill, when it's passed into law, will rather go to enhance the development of this nation.
So you've started that one-on-one conversation with the MPs?
Yes.
You've started that already?
It's not easy, because when you talk to them and you come to the RTI bill, because of the action that has been started by the coalition, they don't want to commit themselves so much. But we have committed to ourselves that anytime we have the opportunity to have this conversation with them, we'll push in this RTI angle to find out whether you are in support of this bill. And if you are not in support, why are you not in support?
Okay, Alaji, get ready, because we'll be on you. Your declaration will be live on air. Elvis, what is your issue with Mr. K.T. Hammond's comments?
Mr. K.T. Hammond definitely is just misleading the people of Ghana that this bill is a bad law for Ghana. Because he cited the example of the United Kingdom and said Tony Blair as an individual, after leaving office, said he regretted the law. And generalized that to mean that the law is bad for the people of the UK. Mr. Tony Blair is just an individual, and his position on a bill cannot represent the generality of the people of the United Kingdom. So for Mr. K.T. Hammond to rely on a comment by an individual to generalize that the people of the UK regret the bill is unfortunate. That is very misleading. Secondly, he claims that passing this bill will grind government to a halt. It is totally false, because he cannot provide a single example of any country in the world that has passed a freedom of information law that has granted to a halt. There's none he cannot provide. In the same UK that he cited as an example, I can give you as many examples in the United Kingdom where RTI has been used. They call it freedom of information law, so FOI, has been used to produce outstanding results. One of them is that the members of parliament in the United Kingdom were rigging the amount they were supposed to be paid by the government, fabricated documents. It took a request for freedom of information for that to be exposed. As we speak, there are some members of parliament who are in jail in the United Kingdom for that offense. However, that is what you can say is political, but I can tell you the social benefit of an RTI bill is just enormous. It turned out in the United Kingdom that the emergency services were actually not picking calls of the citizens on time, or were actually not answering the calls at all. People didn't know what was happening. So somebody used the RTI law to apply for the information. It turned out that almost 1 million calls were not answered well, or either answered late. And this is the emergency we are talking about. This revelation led to massive reforms in the United Kingdom emergency services. The UK police, when they provide security for the premiership is a rich enterprise, and they were supposed to pay for the services that are offered by the police. It turned out that the UK police offered services to the tune of £2 million, and the football teams paid only 300,000. So it means they are sitting on over 1.7 million pounds of state money. It took a freedom of information law to get this information out to the public.
Obviously, the
restaurants, shops, and cafes, people were eating and drinking from there without knowing the hygiene status of these institutions. Somebody went to apply for freedom of information. Look, this is where we eat. Eating is about life. So we should know the hygiene status as ranked by the state institutions. The state institutions refused. They have to go to an information commissioner to contest the position. The ruling was that it is the interest of the public to know where they eat and how hygienic the place is. Now, all restaurants, cafes, and shops in the UK, their hygiene rankings are public for everybody to see.
This is obviously in our best interest, because if you listen to Elvis outline and cite the example of the UK, members of parliament are supposed to be representatives of the people. You are us in Parliament. What we want is what you should be doing. But that's obviously not what is happening.
We represent the people, so we are the representatives of the people. The people form the government. Government must act in the interest of the people. And so government being an agent of the people are saying that we want to know what you are doing. So how can that be inconsistent with the power of the people as expressed in Article 21? I don't understand Katie Hammond. It's the old school. The old school is when you think government is some creature, a creature who must have secrets, which secrets must be protected. Who is government? Information that is established all over the world is sine qua non for effective democracy. Citizens are empowered when they have information because they can make informed decisions. And those decisions will enrich the democracy. The examples he has given demonstrates the power of information for a democracy. There's nobody who should stand against the right to information bill. There's nobody.
So why are you not speeding this up? We're not seeing that.
No, when we started the consideration process, obviously, it's a new legal regime. We cannot import the British system, the British regime, hook, line, and sinker, because they don't have a written constitution. Okay? We have a written constitution with certain provisions that you can't derogate from. Immediately you derogate from them, Article 1(2) of the Constitution will come into play. It will be declared inconsistent with the Constitution, and so null and void. So you need to fashion out a regime that is consistent with the Constitution. Okay? We've gone to many different parts of this world. We've gone to Canada to look at how their right to information operates. We've gone to South Africa. I was privileged to be in Singapore. And now we are fashioning up the regime. Obviously, there are people who still think that they are the instrumentalists. They just think that government must be government and must have secrets. It must be protected. That's how government will run.
How divided?
And there are people who believe that that is a right. What we are doing is not to protect government, but to enhance the rights of the people to hold their governments accountable. That's what we are doing.
How divided is the House on this?
The House is not divided. The House is unanimous. There is only one person that I know that has said he doesn't support. And it is not the first time he said it. In 2016, December 7th, after NDC lost the elections, we made a spirited attempt to pass this. We were stopped by Katie Hammond and Jane Mensah-Botso. Jane Mensah-Botso raised the issue of the recommendation of the African peer review mechanism, which said that if a government was exiting office, 3 months to the exit of the government from office, they should not pass any major legislation. That was the recommendation. So he used that. Katie Hammond said, no, this is not something we need to pass. Why didn't you pass it when you were in power? Now you want to pass it to prevent us from working. So we didn't. The bill that we are considering is not substantially different from what was laid.
But I understand there are over 100 things that you have to work on. You have to debate on.
Oh, no, there are about 46 clauses.
Oh, really?
46 clauses. So
there's not much work to be done.
There's much work. Now you are establishing an information office.
Okay, so let me go to Clement. Clement is in Parliament.
Yeah.
Clement, if you look at the pace at which they are doing this, they do the main business before they come to this, and they have to close at 2.
Yeah. When Honorable was talking earlier on, he was saying that they have to do a lot of work. They had to go to South Africa, go to Canada, go
Singapore,
to all those. But it looks like
with public funds.
Yes, you already have the fundamentals. We are, for instance, a signatory to the AU model law.
Yes.
We have the AU model law.
So we met with them.
So all that you need to do to have a good law for Ghana, it's already there. You have the template.
No, we don't do templates. You look at the template and fashion a law to suit your special circumstances.
Yes.
The template is for Africa.
But you know,
So
Alhaji, I think
that
the challenge here is that we've seen you work with some kind of speed when you want to on other things, on many things. In fact, you've
one
been
you think that the speed
recalled.
is like that of a tortoise.
You've been recalled. This one we're not seeing anything, and then suddenly we hear one MP speak the way he's asked.
Yesterday,
And
for instance,
one issue, for instance, is, as Elijah said, they've traveled around the world. But this bill, at the time they started traveling, it wasn't yesterday. The first time it hit Parliament was 2010. So they started traveling from that time. And
Even
we are
before
in
that
2018 and this law is still not passed.
Are you still traveling?
Do you get my point? So it means that the work started by Parliament, not today. Not today. The law started not today.
No.
So if they started working on it as Parliament from 2010 and they started traveling at that time that, oh, let's go and find out what is done here. 8 years down the line, the law is still not passed. It is just unacceptable. No excuses should be accepted.
You were making reference to something yesterday.
yes, the pace at which they are doing it, to be fair to them, though, yesterday there wasn't preparation made for extension. So after 2 p.m., they have to close. So they couldn't continue with the bill as they were supposed to do it. But the thing is that they will be able to extend their sentence if they are minded to pass this bill. So we are calling on the leadership of Parliament to, as much as possible, make provision for extension of the sitting time so that they will be able to give attention to this particular bill. Yesterday, for instance, that's what happened. After they had looked at some of the things that they are supposed to do after 2 p.m. when the deputy majority leader, Adjoa Safo, she was trying to say that let's continue with the right information bill. But the speaker said, asked her, have you made provision for extended sitting? She said no, so they had to close. So it means that if they want to do it, they should have made provision for extended sitting. And as the majority leader promised us that by 15th of this month, the bill will be passed, I thought that all those considerations would have been put in place so that the extended sitting would come into place.
Alaji, the bill moved from your committee, so you have an appreciation of the kind of work that has to be done.
Yes, tremendous work, yes.
So can we look at some of the key things and then look at the deadline, the 15th November?
A bill basically is structured into about 3 parts. The exemptions, first of all, the creation of the law, the exemptions from 5 to 20 to 16. Clause 17 is very important, and that's why it's going to engage us seriously.
Clause 17
of the bill. I've heard my friends in the media coalition for RTI say that there are a lot of exemptions. Clause 17 negates all those exemptions. All those exemptions.
That is very good.
Okay.
What does 17 say?
17 says that in the public interest, no information can be exempt.
Yes.
Who determines what
so you go to public?
You go to information commissioner.
Commissioner.
Yes.
You go to the and then when he rules that this is in the
interest of the public,
this is exempt. You still have to go to court. Okay. So you can say that this is in the public interest. So don't mind 5, 6, up to 16 exempting information from the office of the president, and we've actually redefined office of the president. Because office of the president is too big.
It's wide.
It includes Maslock. So he will say
Ghana is Commission.
Ghana is Commission.
National Identification Authority.
Yes, so he will say office of the president. Where are you protected? Atifa or what's the name of my friend at Maslock?
Steve Amwa.
Are you protecting him? So we need to, so we have redefined, and then the establishment of information officers in all the public institutions on the designation of the proper person to whom requests for information will be directed. Somebody must be there, okay, so that we can hold him responsible. And then when that person refuses, where do you send an appeal? So the appeal process, okay, how to exercise your rights.
That has been clearly defined.
Yes, how will the application be made? When can a request be said to be an application?
Okay.
Does it need to be in English, oral recording, or what? So we've defined all that. Okay, and if an information officer refuses willfully to disclose, what sanctions are available and all this? So the bill is an interesting bill.
Okay. Remember the coalition issued a statement on some of the clauses and areas that either must be deleted or worked on. You're familiar. So clause 13 must be deleted. What happened to clause 13?
So we're saying that
Clause
it's not
12 and 13.
We're saying that it's not. We don't think that it sits rightly with the bill, and we are proposing an amendment to that particular.
So that was your recommendation.
That's our recommendation.
Okay. I think I have more details of clause 13, but there's also
You can read it for the
clause 89.
You can read the clause and what we are suggesting, so that your people will understand why we say it should be deleted.
Okay, so I think one of the issues was the office of the president must be defined under clause 5. That is what
Which
you
is
said
what
you've
you said,
done.
yeah.
Okay, and then clause 12.
Yes.
You mentioned that, Clement. Okay, there was clause 8 and 9. Delete prejudice and keep damage.
Damage.
So it's just one word.
One
You're
word.
just changing word. Instead
Yeah.
of prejudice,
You
use
say
damage. Okay, so it's just a change
so
of word.
But
say-
was that the recommendation?
That's our recommendation. We are
Okay.
saying that we don't say it should be prejudicial. We are saying that it should damage. There should be that factual evidence of the information having the
damaging.
potential of damaging.
So let me just read exactly what is here. In clauses 8 and 9, the bill established very different thresholds for determining whether information is exempt in relation to international relations and defense/security. An information officer making this decision can either choose the higher threshold of information reasonably expected to cause damage to the lower threshold of information reasonably expected to prejudice
Yes,
relations
yeah.
or defense of the states.
It's-
So what the earlier bill that this proposal was asking for is that it uses the word prejudice. And who determines prejudice? The person who is sitting there. So we say that use the word damage. That if it is determined that this information will damage relations between Ghana
At the
and
higher-
the international at the
that's
higher
the-
level.
at the higher
That's
level.
the higher level. So apply that. Leave prejudice at once. It's not in the position of causing damage, then the information should be released to the public.
Okay.
And that is what he's saying, that they have done that.
Okay. There's also concern for clause 85 and 92. And the coalition was saying delete clause 85 and 92 and replace with a new clause dealing with primacy of the acts.
Yes.
He understands, so maybe he can tell us what they've done about the privacy of the app.
Because you've already done winnowing, right?
No, we know it. We have not gotten there yet.
Oh, okay.
We know up to 20 something.
Did you touch this?
Yes.
They've done everything. The committee, after the committee had done its work, they've done everything they think that has to be done about the bill. Now it's just the general house.
When the committee
Now
does its work, it has to present a report to the general
The house. And the house will say, okay, let's see what the committee has done, whether we agree.
but I want to get the information from him if they actually did something to these ones.
But he's trying to say that they've done
The
winnowing up to just
primacy of
27.
the act is simply this: that in matters of protection or exemption, wherever you may find it, if the exemption in the previous act is inconsistent with this act, this act will
take
prevail.
precedent.
Okay.
So if some information is protected in an earlier act, which information is not protected in this
Like
act,
this one.
you can access that information.
Okay. Let's fast forward. Clause 18. Now citizens must show an ID card to access information. The Joint Committee is proposing an amendment to Clause 18 to require citizens to show an ID when they apply for information. In this day of technology, we are suggesting that people should physically throng public institutions to apply for information with a question mark. So what did you do to that?
No, we're saying that, look, you don't need to just walk in. You can put it online, and when you've put it online, you must sufficiently identify yourself. So we don't want people, busybodies, to inundate the information officers with information just to prevent them from working. You know, people can just use sabotage to block the system, inputting needless information, needless requests for information. So we're saying that you must tell you as who you are, what you need the information for. It can be online, okay? You can post it, okay? And then when the information officer, first of all, you address it to the chief executive. When he receives the letter or she receives the letter, she will direct it to the information officer. In fact, the right officer here is an information officer. So we are also saying that in all public institutions where there are information public information officers or public relations officers,
Yes.
they must be constituted into information officers.
Okay.
Where there are no public relations officers, they should be established and named information officers.
Okay.
Okay, so it means that all PROs in public will now become the information officers. Oh, okay.
Where there are no information officers, and then, but where there is an information officer and a PRO in an institution, that information officer will maintain that office as information officer consistent with the recommendations of this bill. Okay.
So now it means that I can request for the information online and just upload maybe my voter's ID card
and
upload attached to it. So I don't need to be there physically.
And he is mandated. And if the information is not available, he must reply within a
stipulated time.
He shouldn't sit on the distance. Yeah. And then if the information is available but not in the possession of the officer, he must refer your application to the office where that information is available, or the public institution where that information is available, and inform you accordingly.
Okay, so all this within a reasonable time?
All this within
stated in the law?
Yes, the time specified.
Yes, in the law.
The law specifies the time, the duration to take for reply.
Information that is in public libraries or that has been published is not exempt. And you don't need to pay. And so we address the issue of payment.
Yes.
Okay, you don't need to pay for the information, but you need to contribute towards the production
of the information.
Of the information.
So you have to photocopy or print it out for you.
But after the information, it's your money that has already generated that information, because your tax money that has generated that information. So you don't need to pay. That will be double taxation. Okay, but you need to contribute towards the production of that information. If you need it on tape, okay, or what is it called?
Which is that? Maybe on pen drive or
Pen
something
drive.
like
Pen
that?
drive. Okay,
You bring the pen drive.
You bring the pen drive.
Okay.
No copy for you.
What happened to clause 38? Applicants are to apply to the Supreme Court when they are denied information.
So when you exhaust, clause 38 is the last leg. Option. So what you must exhaust the internal procedure.
But the recommendation is that the Supreme Court is too high. Let's bring it to the High Court as the first point of application if you are refused information.
Okay, so
Is that what you've done?
Oh, you can't remember everything. So now, you can't remember everything. But that's the recommendation we have here.
No, Clement is in Parliament. Clement, you've seen what they are considering.
I can't remember everything.
Yeah, so you can't remember.
And we appreciate that.
Obviously, you see why I'm surprised is that obviously, the right to information is a human right. A refuser will empower that person who has been refused to enforce that right. Enforcement of human rights
is the High Court.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. I was just going to say, Clement, you've seen what they are considering. Have you seen what they are considering?
On the floor?
On the floor, yes.
Yes, on the floor, we've seen what they are considering. But so far, they've done
Up to 11.
8 up to 11. So when they got to the 11th one, that was when the almighty intervention came in from KT Hammond.
What is in 11?
Oh, 11 is just the normal. It's
just something small.
Normal, the exempt.
Because I'm wondering why that triggered that reaction.
No.
That trigger was there.
The trigger is the quorum. It's not about
He just wanted them to
Let's start on the bill and the benefit to the ordinary person in Ghana.
Yes.
The honorable here is
important
giving MPs common fund to use.
Yes.
The people in his constituency should be able to apply to honorable's office and say, honorable, how much were you giving this year?
This year.
What and what did you use the money for? We want to see evidence of how the money was used. His constituents have every right to do that because the money given to honorable is state money. It's public money. So his constituents have a right to ask for that. If you are in a village, they say, oh, fisherman or a farmer, they say, oh, government has brought some intervention, some fertilizer or some premise is being brought to you for free. And it's being shared and you are a farmer or you are not getting your share, you don't know what is happening. The law empowers you and gives you the process to follow to go and ask the person in charge that how come I am also a farmer or a fisherman, but this thing I have information is for free for all of us and I'm not getting my share. That officer there is mandated by law to provide the information.
Or how
and that's a time frame. How this was done, who and why even
what was the criteria?
You are entitled to know. Today all these things happen, people don't get, and then we conclude that, oh, they are using partisan politics to distribute, that's why I didn't get, and then we sit down. But we are not supposed to sit down. We are supposed to go and ask and bring the information to life for everybody to know. So you see, these are some of the benefits ordinary Ghanaian will get. What if fire service is not responding to calls to people's homes when there's fire. And they are keeping the records themselves and they are hiding it.
Even the
Freedom of information.
the atomic gas explosion.
As we
not
speak,
seen.
we are in this country
We
when there
can
was-
begin to
when there were
name
fires
them.
in market, we brought in expertise from America to come and help. The work was done. Journalists say we want the information. A public official say it is state secret. We can't have it. How can a fire in a market constitute state secret? In fact, that report should be first given to the market women for them to know that, oh, maybe we were the ones that were contributing to the fire. If the report says this, so maybe if we do this, we no longer have that problem.
Clement you want to add something?
That's why I think that the advocacy, we must step it up. Actually, everybody thinks that this law, when it comes into play,
It's
it is
about
for
government.
the journalists.
No,
It's for
it's
the
not
journalists.
about even government.
No,
It's
that's-
about journalists to attack government.
Yes.
That is what they
People
say.
think that for
That this
journalists
thing is
to
for government to
attack
attack government.
No,
But
no.
To attack
I mean, the
politicians.
ordinary people should know that this law, when it comes to be,
it's
it
about
is
you.
for them.
It's about you.
Because it will empower the market woman, for instance, to go to his DCE and say that I have been paying this toll for all this while. How much money have you accrued? And what are you using this money for?
It would empower me, who lives at Kuntunse, with the kind of roads,
The
no
road.
street
Yes,
light,
yeah.
to ask,
Why?
why do I pay toll? I pay one
Yes.
city, 1 Ghana city every day. But why do I still have
How
to
much
dodge
did they even make from
potholes?
that? What did they use the money for?
You see,
Because
sometimes-
it's about
yeah.
the usage of the money.
So this is not me as a journalist.
No.
This is me as a
That's-
citizen.
that's
But
the
even
point.
if
Mama
it's
V,
me as a journalist,
So you see why all of us must be interested
But
in the passing
somebody
of the law.
would say, Alaji, that it's easy for you to say this because after all,
No,
you're
but
not
you
going
see,
again
there
in
are compelling
2020.
reasons why we should. No, it's not about 2020.
It's not about 2020.
There are
It's
compelling
not about
reasons. Look,
politics.
in every democracy, an informed citizens will
Make
improve
democracy better.
everywhere. So why will you deprive the people the right to know?
Okay, so let's put you on.
You are
Clement is bringing a document to get MPs to be committed to passing this.
I think that
are
what
you
I,
for
what
it
I,
or you are?
I'll support their registered thing.
Yes,
Yes,
what
yes.
But
We
this
are
is
going
for
to take-
15th though.
we are
This
going
is
to
for
take their
15th.
register.
No,
Yes, the number
I like
of
the
MPs
register, you know why?
who will be sitting
Because
to
they are not
consider the
telling
bill.
us that they are going to fight against the quorum, but that's what they are going to do. We just need members of parliament to be in parliament, and then
and we need
Work.
extended time.
work on the bill, too, so that we prevent people from raising matters of quorum.
Yes.
That's number one. Number two, from now to 15th, it's just impossible to pass the bill. It's impossible.
Oh, how?
Oh, from now to 15th, unless we
It's
do.
possible. You've
No,
passed
he's
some
giving
bills
reason. No, he's
I
giving
know,
reason.
No, but-
He's saying that without extended.
without
That's what he's saying.
extended.
We can't do it. So probably what we also need to do is to impress upon leadership to extend sittings
Yes,
and
that's what we're going
dedicate
to
the
do from
afternoon
next week.
sittings to passing the law. If it even becomes necessary, we can add Mondays to the sittings and then finish the.
Alaji.
Even weekends
Is
can be added.
Parliament,
weekends can be
Even
added.
weekends can be added.
Alaji FM, Parliament just came back
Yes.
from
Yeah,
recess.
from recess.
Yes.
Yeah.
If you're not forming a quorum, why should that be our business? It means that you're not going to Parliament.
Who?
Yes, the
Parliamentarians.
MPs.
That's an issue.
I'm speaking for myself.
It means that MPs are not. It means that MPs are not reporting to work.
Well,
correct?
And we need only 1/3, oh, 1/3 of 275. So if we
But-
can get 1/3 of 275,
Mama V,
Alaji,
it
that's
tells
a
the level
problem.
of
Mama V,
absentee.
I'm sure you
That
will
means
not
that
catch
they
me.
are not committed to.
Mama V, I'm sure you will not catch me. I'm sure RTI will not catch me. For two reasons. One is that I'm interested in the passage of the law. Two, I'm the ranking member. So I need to always be there to support my and also represent the position of my party in parliament. So I'll be there.
Okay, so from consideration, where does it go?
Immediately it goes, we go through consideration, then you do the third reading
Then do
and
the
pass.
third
It's
reading,
gone.
then you
That's
pass
it.
That's it.
Well, how do you pass this one? Do they vote on it?
No, oh.
Oh, no, this one.
As they
What
go
we are
through-
doing now is the clause by clause consideration.
After that,
After that, when we finish, we read the long title, and then we read the short
Then-
title,
and
and
then-
then it's passed. Okay, that's all.
That's all.
that's
That's
all.
all.
That's all.
So
But it has
there's
to
a
be-
problem.
And they can do it.
Mama,
It has to be gazetted.
no,
like,
that one,
I'm not gonna-
that's
no,
not
no, that's
Parliament's
not-
business.
that's-
It's
That
the
goes to the
president's
presidency,
business.
and then the president. will
But
act
the
on it.
issue now is that there's a problem. The problem is that for the first 3 days, much has not been done. 15th is around the corner. And as Honorable has said, unless you have extended sittings including Monday
So
and
let
even possible
me
weekends.
ask you and Clement,
cannot
since
have
you're
this
part
bill
of the
passed.
coalition,
Yeah.
what are you going to do to get
We are-
Parliament to extend its sitting?
From
We are
here, we are
writing to
drafting a
them.
letter.
We are writing to
straight to the
Parliament
leadership of Parliament
to
that
consider.
they must consider extension. That must include weekends. That must include Monday, so that by the 15th this bill must be passed.
If
And
it,
then we
if
let
it
the
doesn't,
public
if
know.
they don't meet the 15,
No, but
they
the
must-
most
what
important-
happens?
The most important
what
thing is-
happens?
If they are able to finish with the whole consideration within the 15th, and even the budget is read, and they do extended sittings continuously, they can get this thing done before they write it. Because they have about only 5 weeks.
And if they don't,
No, actually, we can
If
do
they
it.
don't, we have a number of things lined up for them, and we will do
No,
it.
that's why they say don't pressure Parliament.
No, we have to pressure Parliament. As for that, I disagree.
It has been with you for the
I
past 8
agree.
years.
I
agree
have
that-
a radical proposal.
Yeah.
We can just totally blacklist them. Can you
We
imagine?
have it.
You're not.
We have
You
those
even
plans
go
for
to
them.
Parliament, but you're not reporting.
In fact, next week-
We're
have
not
those plans
hosting
for them.
any MPs.
That's why people
We're
are thinking
not.
that this bill is for journalists.
No, it's not. It's for the Ghanaian.
We're
It's
for,
the way
we're
the
for the
journalists are
people.
fighting.
It's for the
Are
Ghanaians.
fighting for the BRC.
No,
They have
it's for
some
the-
hidden agenda somewhere.
No.
What I'm saying
see,
is that
It's because we
so
want
you
democracy
need
to.
to
Since
you need to
1988.
reassure many people.
Yeah.
And I like where you are coming from. You have demonstrated why we need this thing.
Yes.
You know, you might have nothing to do with government.
No.
It's just how your taxes are utilized at your
That
district
is the
assembly.
point.
Yeah.
You understand?
My issue
And
is
it-
my road.
you
I
know.
paid the toll.
Good. Then you don't
Today,
know.
the toll booths didn't even have lights.
Lights. So what is happening? So you want to know.
We pay street light levy
Okay.
to ECG.
Now-
And as we
Now
speak,
sometimes
we still see
sometimes-
lights without
Sometimes
no
people
street
make
light.
donations. They contribute to some public event. You also contribute. You see nothing happening. Meanwhile, you can ask. You don't even know who to ask.
Sometimes you even have a contractor come and put sand on your street,
Yes.
but
And-
you don't
and that
know
is the
who
end
that
of the
contractor
project.
is. You don't know.
So
you
the
don't-
project
but
ends.
this thing comes into
You
place.
don't know
You'll
who
be
to
able
go and ask. Why is that
Yes.
the road
Yeah.
project
So
is not
and
going?
has
that's
stalled.
exactly why I don't want you to make it look like journalists are looking for a tool to attack government.
No.
But
But the
that's
ordinary
why
person
I'm
cannot
asking you
fight.
this pass
Bill
it.
is to operationalize Article 21.
Yes.
Article 21 is freedom of information.
Exactly.
It's a right inherent in the individual.
Yes.
And honorable journalists are fighting because we are the voice of the voiceless.
Thank you.
We are supposed to be the voice of the people of Ghana when it matters.
I like that.
Thank you.
We
So we
think
are
that
helping
this
them.
time
You are
round
not doing it for
matters.
your,
No.
even though it includes
Not
your own
for-
voice.
Yes. And we are also
No,
Ghanaians.
but even
We
if
are
it includes
Ghanaians.
us, when we get the information,
We are
we give
Ghanaians
it back to the
to the
public.
public.
We don't keep the
So
information.
we are fighting
We
on
agree-
behalf of
we
all
agree.
Ghanaians.
So let's say
We are
that
telling
we are all on the
Ghanaians
same
that if
page.
it becomes
We are
possible,
all on the same
we
page.
will mobilize the whole Ghana
We are
and come
all
and
on
sit
the
in
same
parliament.
page.
We will organize the whole Ghana to come
Look,
and sit in parliament if the need be.
NDC government
If the need
introduced the
be.
bill, it didn't go through. MPP government has improved upon the bill. We are working on it. So I can tell you that there's total commitment to the passage of this bill.
The same thing we have heard for the past
So
8 years. So
can
we will not
I-
take it
Leave
until
us,
it's passed.
leave us now.
No, we will not. We'll be cautious. in
Elvis,
this.
let me
We'll
ask
be very
about
cautious.
let me ask about clause 3. Expand the list of types of information to be disclosed. That's the last thing we talk about. What has happened to expanding the list?
Of information to be disclosed.
That is what
Yes, that's what I'm saying. Expanding the list of information to be disclosed. It means that, look, initially they had done a cap, okay, on the information that is protected, that is exempted. It was said no. Make more information available to the public. Okay, so expand the list of information that can be disclosed. And we are doing that. I mean, cabinet meetings, records of cabinet, were protected. You are sending a decision, you are sending a memo to cabinet. That memo should be protected,
Yeah,
because
it's
if you disclose it, it will prejudice decision making.
Yeah.
But immediately a decision is taken on that, that decision should not be protected.
No.
Okay.
You understand it?
Yeah.
So once we are going for it,
Yeah, you will
it should be
protect
a secret. But when the decision is taken that this is the way we have to go,
Becomes-
then
You
that
cannot be
cannot be protected. Because now the people need to know that this is what is going to be done. Because what you are taking there can either be rejected or accepted.
So it can be
So
information.
making it known at that stage may not be useful.
Yes.
But once
Okay.
agreement is reached that
This
that
government
the
wants to
government
do
is
this.
going this way,
Yes.
then the people have to know.
So Alaji, today is Friday. It's RTI part of the business of for the
Oh,
bill?
yes. Since we came, RTI has always been part of the business.
It's
It's
on the,
part of the
it's
bill,
on the
but
other
work
paper.
will not be done.
It's on the other paper, but as to whether they will tackle it is another thing. Because it is always on the other paper, even the past.
Everything is on the other paper is a declaration of intent.
So, Alhaji, why do you leave it till like after the main? It's almost like you have the main business before you come to that. Why is that?
Commencement of public business. So after questions, so first thing is that the prayer, then questions, statements. So all that, when you finish, the laying of papers.
Yeah.
So when you finish that, then you do.
Which is around like
they need
12.
to be getting
like
closer to their closing
Okay.
time. But
All right, guys.
interestingly-
We have to go.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but you wanted to say.
Interestingly, it is unfortunate that at this time we have to be pushing for the right information bill to be passed as Ghana, because 22 African countries have already passed this bill,
Togo.
and we are saying
But
that
you haven't seen their bills.
yes, and we are telling exactly
seen
the
their
point I
bills.
wanted to make. We want the honourable members to know that we need a bill that will serve the
That is
needs of
exactly
this,
what we are
the
doing.
needs of
Okay.
this
We
country.
have seen those bills, and so some of those bills will not pass.
So that
even,
is why
even
you are
assembly
there.
meetings.
So give us a credible
But
bill.
8 years to do a credible bill
Yes,
is
do
too
a-
long.
yes.
And that is the
So,
point we are
give
making.
us a credible bill.
For it to
That's
take
what we
8
want.
years for
Okay.
Parliament to do a credible bill is unacceptable, and it is too long. So the time is now.
Okay, all
Whatever
right, so
happens,
the-
this Parliament must pass
Must
this
pass
bill.
it.
The pressure is
The
on.
people want it.
The 15th of November is staring us in the face. The next move is to push for an extension
Yes,
of sitting.
of
So we'll
sitting.
keep an eye on that. We'll keep the pressure moving. Alhaji, thank you for submitting yourself to this.
No, I'm an ally. I support the process. I think that it's wonderful to pass the law. As an activist, human rights activist, I just think that people have a right to know. Government must not be protected from the people when they want information. That's my position.
All right. Elvis, thank you for being here. We have a conversation. The British High Commissioner is in our studio in a little bit. We're talking about a lot of things, our relation with the British, but we're also talking about the royal visit. Prince Charles is in Ghana with Camilla later today. This is the channel to get all the information related to the royal visit. Stay with us when we come back. Roland Walker is hosting the British High Commissioner. All right.